Oh, we are live. I was holding my breath there.
And that one was mysterious. We had no idea when it was finally going to kick in.
Exactly, 7 seconds. Hi, everyone. This is Thunder E from Booredatwork, and welcome to our introduction of iOS 8 and OSX Yosemite, the latest in. Yeah, no, Andrew's gonna yell about that. We had a little chat. We're talking about that, but Apple today just kicked off the WWDC events 2014, and they announced iOS 8, of course, as we expected, and OSX Yosemite, which are their two latest operating systems for mobile as well as desktop. And just to cue in the panel here, starting on my very far left with no lower third is Mr. Andrew Cam from Mobile Burn. How's it going, man?
Andrew is
can't
not
hear you.
on with the audio. We'll make sure we get Andrew in on this, but
but thank you very much for joining us, Andrew. And next up is Mr. Juan Magnell from Some Gadget Guy.
Hey everybody, West Coast represent. Let's do this.
Okay. And finally we have Mr. Leximonier from Booredatwork. How's it going, man?
Doing quite well, thank you.
All right, cool. Yeah, I said I was going to do this. I just thought of what to give away. So I have a little giveaway for you guys, which would be cool as you participate in this. For the last couple of months, throughout this year, I've been doing videos where I've left a countdown at the beginning. So just let me know how many videos I've done a countdown in. So I've started with 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 at the beginning of the video throughout this year. There's quite a few videos you have to go through. So whoever gets the right number gets a special prize. I'll tell you what that prize is at the end of this hangout. Yeah, so let's do this. Let's kick it up. So, guys, what did you think of OSX? iOS 8. We do got an OSX Yosemite, but iOS 8. What did you think? We'll start off with the our in-house iOS fanboy there, Mr. Leximonier. How's it going, man?
It's going good. It's going good.
All right.
Well, I saw the presentation. I'm gonna let the audience know that while I was watching the stream on my iPhone, it stopped working on me and it died. So I had to find some other alternative route and had to use an Android device to watch the stream. So, so that's kind of how that worked out. But overall, the snippets that I did see, it brought like common sense features to like messaging, how you can reply via the pull down. Like that's a great feature. There's certain applications on Android that do that, but it isn't on stock. But that's a great feature to have. The cloud storage aspect of it was really welcoming too, having photos and no degradation of resolution on whether you upload it or using it on ubiquitous devices. So it's really nice to see that. I was hoping for a bit more, but it just brought up some necessary changes that OS really needed.
Okay. As I know Andrew's having some technical issues there, how about you, Juan?
You know what? This sort of stands as yet another iteration of Apple Gear where I feel the Apple faithful are being more critical than some of us who are multi-operating system users. So I'm no big great fan of Apple, but from iOS 7 and now into iOS 8, they are improving their ecosystem and building in features and services that I've been wanting to see them do for a while now.
Yeah.
And so for me, this is all positive stuff in the right direction. Now, iOS 7 was that huge switchover where they completely gutted iOS and built it back up from scratch. And so iOS 8 sort of needs to be in that TikTok, development cycle where now it's about refining the experience that they presented us last year. And so a lot of these updates, a lot of these services, we're going to get snarky during this video. We're going to get kind of snide and sarcastic. This is Android Lite. But for the iOS users out there, I think these are all tremendous improvements to the ecosystem. And finally seeing Apple start to put a little bit more pressure on Google, especially with the expanded ecosystem of Apple services and devices.
Cool. And how about you, Andrew? Can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes,
yeah, there you are.
Okay.
It's cool, it's cool. So
this
the
problem
question
wouldn't have happened if I was on OS 10, just putting that out there. So go ahead, what's the question?
let me correct that. This problem wouldn't have happened if you did not buy a Sony laptop.
But that's the point. It's
No, it's Sony.
Windows,
No.
And then
Sony.
there's 8 billion variation of Windows. Just
Sony.
like there's Android, and there's the 8 billion variation of Android.
Um,
Listen, Apple, you pay somebody money, and you get a product that actually works.
When we gave you advice for what to buy, you didn't take it. That is your fault.
No, I couldn't take it because Lenovo was so popular at the time. They didn't have anything available to sell to me.
Okay.
That's another conversation.
All right. So let's kick in your thoughts on iOS 8 and what you heard so far.
Yeah, my thoughts on iOS 8 were pretty much about time. I maintain a list in my mind called the shit Apple needs to fix already list. And they finally got to a couple of those things, like the keyboard. That's ever since I started using an iPhone, that's the thing I've hated the most. I've always said that keyboard was terrible.
I actually like the iPhone keyboard.
I despise the
on the
iPhone
screen
keyboard.
that's small. It's just
hate
not comfortable to use. It didn't have and especially as I'm someone that uses Android and iOS. I go back and forth between them all the time. So when I'm on my Android phone and I'm able to have the bigger screens, I'm able to use SwiftKey or all these other alternative apps. Having the default app on iOS has always been a pain in the butt. But they finally they've improved the keyboard to have predictive text, and they also gave you the option of installing your own keyboard. So we've already seen that SwiftKey has their own app. They have like a note app that they had before. I'm pretty sure they're going to come out with a keyboard in like 3 days or less.
Yeah.
And Swipe has already been
confirmed.
confirmed. Yeah, Swipe has already been confirmed of having one. So I'm very much looking forward to using a different keyboard.
Okay. No, cool. For me, I liked what I saw. I'm going to take Anna's coined phrase, which is called iOS 8 is Android Lite in a box. And rightfully so, it should have been. All these press conferences, everybody takes digs at each other. Apple was taking digs at Microsoft with the PC aspect, and I'll talk about those numbers later. But with iOS 8, I did like the fact that they brought up updates to iCloud Drive now. I don't know how well it will work, just because the other services would just do a very good job right now with either Google Drive, OneDrive, or even Dropbox, which is still has its iffy issue, but it's been better. So I like that aspect. What I did like was on the developer side when they talked about all the different APIs or API packages that they had. So for instance, they talked about the HomeKit. And one of the key things about HomeKit is about bringing a unified API base for the HomeKit so that people will have companies have an easier time basically integrating things together. Unlike Google, where you're already hearing that Google might run ads through Nest, from on that basis. So I like that aspect. I like the fact that Touch ID is open. It's finally open so that people can actually, use it for things like Mint, your banking, and also even with the HomeKit too. So those are the kind of things I really enjoyed hearing, and especially that Apple's really going into all these different areas, because definitely, which means in September, we're going to see a slew of products, at least, besides a new iPhone, something to do with either home automation, something to do with media and things like that. And also, one of the other things was also the Metal API, which takes over from OpenGL. Now, basically, that's for gaming and, gaming development, but what they showed in the demo was that you could get console-like graphics, and I was watching it off what was it? What were we watching it off again?
Twit.tv.
Twit.tv, yes. And one of the guys there said, "Hey, this is what has really crushed Nintendo," and it's very true. Now, it may not compete necessarily against home consoles, but imagine Apple TV launching with a full-fledged gaming library from iOS on there. So those are the kind of things that I think was really important that Apple actually touched on in this press conference.
I just wanted to add one more thing. I forgot to mention the changes with iMessage and the ability. It's almost as if they saw Snapchat and I guess the theme that's going on with Snapchat. Instead of making a whole separate app like Facebook's trying to do, they're actually just baked it into the actual messaging stock app, which makes sense. I mean, having the ability to record sound bites and record video is fairly simple. I mean, I was surprised how simple it was, and to be able to answer.
But the thing is that that's copied from everybody else. And it's one of the things that he said from Twit.tv that I totally agreed with them, and they said, hey, Apple really, this through press conference has stolen everything from everyone, yet they're suing Samsung. to me it's like, stop. Just
That's the
not really,
foundation.
because
That's a totally
no,
different
no, no.
issue.
they're not stealing.
No, they are. No. The reason I'm saying that is that nobody knows who has the patent for recording voice on a text message. Does WhatsApp own it? Does somebody else own it? But you're doing it anyway, right? Who knows if they're not infringing on that? I'm just saying that if you're going to do this thing where literally everybody knows that you've just copied Windows Phone, Android, and everybody, stop suing. Just make a better
Samsung
package.
was an extreme case. Samsung purposely and willfully designed their phones to look like the iPhone, and you could.
Yeah, that's a totally different issue.
That's a little bit different.
See,
But the most recent round of lawsuits were about things like these types of APIs
exactly,
and this type of usage. So
the lawsuit that pertains to the look of the iPhone failed. That's out the window. The recent ones all have to do with little tic-tac things like this, which is why I'm saying that it's cool they're a company. I like the fact that they have that there, but we all know WhatsApp does that.
it's the same thing. We didn't see Google or the remnants of Palm HP suing about things like the notification tray, and that's a much bigger or a much more egregious paying homage from Apple into how other companies have designed their phones.
You
It's
gotta
not
understand,
necessarily a
that's-
common experience, like tapping on a square to open an app.
Yeah.
A lot of it's Steve Jobs, though. It's not really the culture of the company. It's his legacy kind of still there.
And I think you can see them cooling off, especially after this last round with Samsung, where they only got a couple $1 million on a settlement that they probably spent way more in legal fees. That I think we'll start to see this really litigious company start to back down a little.
Yeah, I just say that a great poet by the name of Nasir Jones said, "There's nothing new under the sun. No idea is original. There's nothing new under the sun. It's never what you did, but how it's done." So yes,
but we also have a company who used to have a head who said things like, "We're shameless about stealing great ideas," then going thermonuclear on Android for basically the same thing.
Yeah.
It's going to be that way for the next couple of years. Because,
I'm just saying it's hypocrisy. That's all.
It is definitely hypocrisy. But how Apple has been operating for like the past 4 years. They just use the word innovative a billion times, and then people that aren't paying attention don't even realize, hey, this stuff has been over here all the while. But as long as it's a good end product, I don't really care.
All right, so I was going to say, let's talk about some of the new features in all those different packets that they threw in. So I'm going to share my screen and show some of the different things that Apple announced here. Hold a second, once I can find it. Yeah, there we go. Start sharing screen. Yeah, so Touch ID. They talked about Touch ID, being open up, and you can, and you're thinking about the different possibilities there. What do you guys think about that? Do you, we talked about this last year, saying that we wish Apple opened this up more, but now that Apple is taking this stance of, hey, you can use Touch ID for almost anything, how do you see them pushing this forward? Anyone who wants to just take a stab at it can feel free.
I'm actually not quite. I mean, actually, Andrew, this is one of the ones I wanted to ask you about because I'm not as up on some of these security protocols. So if you had anything to share with that, that's what I was really kind of curious to get your take on it.
No, I'm actually in the same boat. On the security aspect, I'm not clear because when they came out with Touch ID, they were very adamant saying that it's going to be locked down because they want to make sure that this is secure. They want it to be something that's device-specific, user-specific. But now what they're saying is they're going to be opening it up to more developers. So instead of just only being able to use it when you log into, say, iTunes or something, or the App Store, they're going to let another developer, like, say, PayPal has that deal with Samsung. Mm-hmm. Maybe Mint wants to have their own protection, or Bank of America wants to add Touch ID to their app or something. But I haven't really got information about how they're going to standardize it, make sure that everything maintains security, because if Bank of America forgets to put one line of code in there or something, and that leads to some huge data breach, that's going to be a huge problem. So
yeah, one of the things Craig said, it was basically that Touch ID, first of all, it's still saved on your system, right? It's not saved in the cloud. The second thing he said is also that your ID is not told to the third-party app. So basically, it's encrypted, and probably that's the case. And then your third-party app just pings that encryption to say, okay, yeah, this is you, and that's it.
Oh, okay. So it's
So,
just like a
so it's
handoff,
still, yeah,
basically.
it's a handoff. So they still know, but now it's just that you now have access to that encrypted handoff over.
Gotcha.
So I mean, it's still secure, but what it means is there's now ability to either access your handoff at some point by hackers, and eventually you can still decrypt it but at least there's a safer chain of command here. But it means that Bank of America, different places can use Touch ID for it. Maybe even at ATM. Actually, no, that would not be cool. No, never mind. Let me just throw that idea out of my head completely. But Alex, what do you think about Touch ID opening up to different in different platforms?
Well, we knew this was coming. I mean, once the foundation was set, we already knew this was kind of coming along those lines. I think it's welcome. I mean, it takes the whole password element to it, and if it's, as you said, more secure, it's just passing it off, it only makes sense. It's very specific to you. It's easy. It's very quick. So it definitely speeds up like the process of downloading apps, installing your login, and things like that. So it's an iOS ecosystem thing. So I don't really see anybody else copying that the way Apple has. So I think it's good for iOS.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I agree with you where you say it's just iOS only. The only other person who can copy this would be Microsoft because their own system is a bit closed too.
Okay.
Android is just going to be a shit show. There's just no.
There's no way you could do it on Android.
Yeah,
Samsung has. Yeah.
Samsung is the only company that can make deals, around the place to say, hey, we can work with certain companies to get it. But I don't think it's the case across the board.
It wouldn't be trusted on Android. That's the thing. It just wouldn't be trusted.
Well, I think, I mean, I disagree in that the narrative is harder when you have a bunch of different competing systems for security. But actually, like reading up on Knox security on Samsung devices, it's actually a pretty robust securities platform if you wanted to lock this kind of information down on a user's device. But that's not global in the Android ecosystem, so you can't count on...
Wait, doesn't LG use Knox now also?
Oh, are they? I didn't know that they were...
No, I'm sorry, don't quote me, because I thought I saw something. Let me check the press conference. Keep talking. I'll check the press release.
No, they use the word knock in a lot of their security as like a brand, so maybe that might confuse you.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, this isn't something that you could do on Android because universally there's just so many different things going on, like Juan said. And Google probably wouldn't want the headache of being in charge of biometric data. Google's has hard enough time already with the way people view them and like some of the negative press they go through in terms of privacy and security. I don't think they would want to even broach the subject right now. So you could get Samsung to do it. Maybe LG will have their own implementation of it, but as far as an Android standard thing, I don't think you'll see that happen.
Well, I mean, I think we can all agree that HTC's fingerprint scanner from the HTC One Max is going to be the ultimate.
I have no reason why they did that. I just still don't know. It confuses me.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you guys there. I think, for iOS system, yeah. And like I said, the only other person would be Microsoft just because their system is semi-closed by them. The other application I want to talk about is iCloud Drive. It's no longer iCloud. It's basically a whole Drive network where you have the ability to upload your photos and view them at full resolution, so it's not gimped in any form or fashion. It's available on iOS devices, your Mac, as well as Windows. He said, we're going to put it on Windows also. Well, you need it to be if you're going to expand your platform. It's
right.
No other way. And it looks like it has the ability to also work with different applications altogether. What do you think about this move? Because Apple's been building server farms, and this is now competing against your Google Drive, especially even the pricing too is very competitive to Google Drive. Your OneDrive with Microsoft, your Dropbox, and things like Copy. How do you think do you think Apple will be able to handle this well? Just because the past history of iCloud has been terrible.
Yeah, but they can't be terrible forever. So
yeah,
So
I mean, actually, technically they could be, but we just doubt that they will be.
Yeah, I got to figure that at some point, if they're walking around spending $3 billion on headphone money, you got to think there's somebody in that building that would at least find and say, you know what, this sucks. We need to do something better.
Well, they tried to buy Dropbox, wasn't that the rumor that Dropbox?
Well, yeah, years ago, but they tried to lowball them. It was probably like
$50
or $60 million, and Dropbox is just looking at them like
it's
a $2 billion company.
Yeah.
But like the product itself, obviously we'd have to get a look at it, but I'm encouraged just by what they were saying that they were going to do, and I think they have the potential to finally fix it. iCloud right now is a mess. I would not trust that to be my cloud storage document right now.
Yeah.
And I've got redundancies right now between Dropbox and Box. I'm going to start switching over to Google Drive soon. But if they can have this be the whole simple default integrated system that Apple loves to talk about, and it actually be good, I think they're going to attract a lot of people in the iOS and Mac ecosystem.
Anyone else?
No, I mean that kind of sums it up. But it's the same thing that I've been saying from the beginning here. This is a service that Apple needs to have as a benefit for their users. It's not even a question of whether or not it's going to be good when it starts or whether or not they should do it. They just need to. Now, what I thought was interesting was their pricing on the various storage tiers for their cloud solutions, being a clear shot at what Google is doing as well. So it definitely looks like they've got Google in their sights for a lot of their announcements today.
No, I mean I agree with you there, but I think if they really want this to work, they need to copy OneDrive. Not Google Drive.
I agree.
They need to copy OneDrive because that as a solution for, especially if you're a Mac user, you have your Mac PC, your MacBook, and an iPhone. OneDrive type implementation for Mac would be fantastic because then it makes all that continuity that they talked about very seamless altogether. Where it's basically just a drive on your computer. It doesn't even have to be opening you an app or anything like that. So I'm hoping that they do that in retrospect, so at least Apple users or Mac users or iOS users will be able to enjoy this kind of benefits. But it's a wait and see process, I think, altogether. The other thing I was going to ask was the whole health kit. It's kind of broken down into two applications. There is health, and then there's health kit. And it looks like health kit is a repository for all the different health applications. So if you have a Fitbit, if you're using a Weebit, the scale, or other things, even your blood pressure through the camera, that will go into the health kit itself. And health is more of a general health statistics with which is queued into the Mayo Clinic and other places. They're working with some other health facilities. They didn't go into much details, but do you think there's still more to come because of all that talk we had mentioned with Nike, or do you think they just basically making applications that people can use?
Well, I think this is a pretty good indication that we could be looking at some kind of Apple wearable soon as well, especially with their home automation software. The idea of something that is on you that can control your Apple ecosystem really easily. But the first steps is just getting the software out there, and it looks like they've got a pretty solid competitor to what Samsung is doing with S Health.
Okay. Anyone else? Andrew?
Yeah, I think it's pretty much the same thing. I got the feeling that they wanted to talk more, but there just simply wasn't time because of the other stuff that they had to get to. I'm pretty sure later in the fall, after they've got the new iPhone out, after they're able to say, all right, this is what we have, there's going to be more talk about the integration that you can do with it.
Okay. And how about you, Alex?
Yeah, I agree. I feel as if it was kind of just a bit of a teaser. They kind of went into some of how it works and pretty much the integration of how it'll be different from things like S Health. But I think they're definitely getting everyone warmed up for their upcoming iWatch. So.
Okay. So what do you guys think about some of the notification things that they talked about, where they had mentioned you can now the applications have what they call built-in widgets, so that when you download a new application, if it has a widget, it will automatically tell you a notification screen that, hey, this app has a widget and you can customize it and it looks a little bit more streamlined. Any thoughts on that? I know I'm not a big iOS user, so for me it was like, okay, whatever. But I know Andrew and Alex, you guys have that love for iOS.
Well,
so.
I'll get mine out of the way really quickly in that I don't like widgets in my notification tray. I don't even like on Android the expanding notification tray. I want a streamlined experience there. But for iPhone, since you can't throw widgets on your home screen, I guess that's where they should live.
Okay.
No, I feel like this is Apple. You want like a birthday cake, but they're giving you a cupcake. This is pretty much what they're doing, and it's okay though. I mean, I'll take it. I love the Sports Center, I guess, all integration, but other than that, I'm not really going to use it for anything else. It's just not practical in my view.
Correction, I don't love iOS. I just like it. and I don't have my Microsoft blinders on like the rest of you do.
That's directed right at Thunder E because he definitely has those blinders on.
Wow.
We'll get to that when we get to
That was
Maverick.
great.
Yeah.
We'll get to that in a second, but
Yeah, but I just thought, it's okay. It's like I've been using this on Android for about 2 years now, so it's nothing really to get excited about. This is another thing I can cross off my fix already list. So just slow improvement. Takes 2-3 years for them to do things the way they should have done in the first place, but you got to get there eventually.
okay. And then HomeKit is the last one, which I really liked what they talked about HomeKit just because it didn't have and if you notice throughout the press conference, it kept on talking about secure, everything. And it's huge dig at Google because basically saying, hey, look, we're not there to collect your data, we're not here to steal anything from you. Even with the keyboard, with the new keyboard layout, for instance, how keyboards like SwiftKey want to tap into your email and things like that. Basically, the settings are there to allow it to either tap in or not tap in. You can actually manually set it in and out. So they've done a lot of that. But with HomeKit, they basically talked about how they are basically just creating a one-stop API so that developers can now use their iPhone and Siri. Say, Siri, open up my garage, or even maybe Touch ID to open up your door when you get home because you're always holding your phone. So those kind of things. I was wondering what you guys thought about HomeKit itself, because I thought compared to every other company, we know AT&T does stuff for the home, Verizon, Google's doing stuff, but it looks like they just came up with one package everyone can easily tap into. So I wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Well, I've mentioned this before. With what Andrew said, with certain things like widgets, Apple really doesn't know what they're doing, and they're trying to appease some of the consumer base that they have. But with things like this, it shows you that Apple does things the best in almost the best possible way they can, especially in their own ecosystem. So this HomeKit is, like I said, it's a foundation for it. It's going to be nice in the future. You start seeing some really crazy applications for it down the road. But this is the best possible way for Apple to be open, but not open at the same time.
Okay. Anyone else?
Yeah, I'm not excited about this at all. Just I'm so tired of seeing this so many times. Everyone's like, everyone goes back to the XKCD comic where it says, "Man, there's too many standards.
Yeah.
You need one standard," and then essentially you just add another standard,
right?
And no one follows it. So
there are 14 different ways to do this. We should just have one way. Cut to the last panel. Now there are 15 different ways to do
Oh,
this.
if you guys are talking about standards, did you see towards the end in the developer-centric section?
JavaScript.
The Swift, with Swift.
I was waiting for JavaScript. I was so hoping for JavaScript. Oh my god.
Oh my god. The one thing about that is that fine, it's such an easy way to code for iOS, but which means any new kid who uses that probably does not know how to code in C++ anymore, or any other basic languages. So when you get into problems and you want to switch cross-platform, you're stuck. I mean, literally, they want people to be stuck in their ecosystem.
Exactly. And there's a funny reaction shot when they introduced it. You could see one guy in the crowd, he just had his face like growing like, oh no. It's like, oh, I have to read this crap. I'm gonna be like, you just know that there's gonna be somebody like some job is like must be able to code in Swift
must have 5 years of experience in Swift.
With something that came out 5 minutes ago.
Right.
Yeah, and that's just why I'm not interested in this home stuff right now because we've got all these competing factions and no one really wants to create a standard. Everyone just wants to talk about standards.
No. But Apple has created a standard, but it's a standard stuck in iOS.
Yeah, exactly. And then so Honeywell's going to support it because if Apple does something, they're going to support it. Google's going to be focused on how they work with Nest or whatever.
Yeah.
And a lot of the door locks use Bluetooth or whatever. So why do we need Apple to come in and introduce a new standard that allow it to talk to my lock? Why can't I just talk to it through Bluetooth or something? So it's things like that. It's just everyone wants to do their own way. So I just lost interest.
Now I'll play counterpoint. I very much agree with what Andrew just said there. But just to play counterpoint, I think it's also just the consumer education standpoint, where we've had these wireless locks, these programmable thermostats, smart kitchen appliances. And there really hasn't been, I think, the kind of uptick that manufacturers were hoping to see with this lifestyle technology, the Internet of Things kinds of conversations. And so if any company can do a reasonable job of educating the consumers on how to integrate this into an ecosystem of other technology devices, I think it's a company like Apple. And I think they'll have the boots on the ground, the people in the Apple stores, the geniuses that people can go and talk to about why their Wi-Fi thermostat isn't working or why their Bluetooth lock isn't working. And I think that'll be good for the whole home automation industry. And it's kind of the same way that I felt about Google introducing their own smartwatch OS. Now it legitimizes the smartwatch as a proper device. You don't have all these various little mini factions, and I think that's what Apple is trying to do here with home automation. Lastly, I just hope that this puts a huge hurt on Google's plans to how they're considering building advertising into devices like the Nest. I really hope that that squashes it, because I'm tired of a company like Google being able to buy out smaller companies and then pulling that data into the Google advertising ecosystem. If I bought a Nest, I would be kind of mad if it suddenly started serving me ads, because that's not what I bought when I initially got it. I wanted a smart thermostat, and I paid money up front for that device and that service. And now my data will be used as part of the product for Google to make money off of, and I don't think that's cool.
Juan, I noticed that you keep the place at a nice 75 degrees. Sure you wouldn't like to buy some new hoodies from Old Navy?
I'm not gonna lie, that's pretty dope though. I kind of like that. I'm a marketing major, so that's kind of cool.
Oh no. I think from a business standpoint, it's genius. From a consumer standpoint, I'm getting a little burnt out. I'm getting a little burnt out of my data being the product for the free services that we all get to use, and especially for things like for people who went out and bought a Nest. They didn't get a Nest at some cheap reduced price. They paid full price for this thing that connects to their Wi-Fi, and now that's data that Google can incorporate into your bucket of data in Google services.
Yeah, their ads should only be associated with their free services. If you pay, like you said, for something up front, don't give me what you get with the other services. That's not right. Doesn't make sense.
Which is one of the things that like I said, I'm not the biggest Apple fan, but that is one of the things that you pay for with your Apple tax. Is
Apple tax.
The idea that data is localized or your data isn't being used for marketing like that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, okay. So people don't like that. All right. Let's just move away from that. What do you guys think about some of the family sharing things in iOS 8? What?
No more lawsuits. That's a good thing. I mean, that's always good.
Well, I guess so. Yeah. I mean, okay. What do you think of the fact that iOS 8 has no design change whatsoever at all? I mean, it literally is just the same. It's just especially how we saw that thing on The Verge with the look of iOS 8 with the Windows slash live tile mimicry and
widgets and
The Verge, please stop putting crap like that out there, okay?
It was okay. It wasn't that bad. You guys are over that.
No, it's not bad.
You clicked on it, you read it, so you just validated why they did it.
It's crap. It's crap.
If you want them to stop doing that, just stop clicking on Verge links.
Clickbait. Clickbait.
Yeah, especially after what happened on Friday. That was really ill-advised on their part. But
what happened on Friday?
Oh, it's I don't want to sidetrack it too much, but they titled something "How to Dress and Not Get Raped." And it was about
what? Oh snap!
Yeah, it was about companies that try to scare women into buying their products. But they titled it specifically as clickbait, and it was just in really poor taste. And everyone just like universally said this is horrible, and then they changed the title. Yeah. So
okay. Yeah. Anyway, sorry. Continue. I actually got scared there for a second.
Yeah. So So like with this. With the changes, I think it's smart for them not to introduce more visual changes this soon, because a lot of people complain about iOS 7, and that was because they had been using essentially the same design for like 5 years, and it was too drastic of a change. So for them to introduce big changes right now would probably be ill-advised. Like a couple of things they could have done was made the text thicker. That might have gone a long way and improved some things, but I don't think they can change things too much right now. Maybe next year.
Okay. What do you think about some of the notification changes, like the interactive notifications, where you can get a voice message on iMessage and you just pull up to your ear and then you can listen to it? I
I
mean,
love,
those
yeah,
were little cool things I liked.
Yeah, there
I
were some
love
cool
it, and
things.
I especially loved it when I had it on my Samsung Galaxy S3. So I loved it.
Okay. Is there anything else? Oh yeah, there's one more. iPhoto is going to be changed to Photos next year.
Now I have a Photos app on my phone, so I hope Apple gets sued for using the same name for their
Yeah.
photo app.
e-
So
yeah, I'm not exactly sure.
I
I
think
mean,
it's really serious for that kind of UI ripoff that they get hammered for it. So
mhm.
I sense no sarcasm from either of you.
none.
Wow.
Yeah, not at all. Well, Siri's hands-free now. Hey Siri.
Hey Siri, I like
No,
that
but
better than OK
only in the
Google.
Yeah,
car.
okay,
I like that
Google
better.
sucks.
Yeah, Siri's
Yeah,
only
I don't
hands-free
even
in
know
the
where they got
car.
that from.
What do you say?
Siri's only hands-free in the car. It's not always listening when you're like just around. You have to be
Okay.
plugged in.
Oh, never mind then.
That's funny.
Okay, yeah. All right. So, I mean, is there anything else that you can think of that you want to touch on? Because I know there's a lot of stuff with
Oh,
iOS.
the phone calls and the messaging on the
Yeah,
computer.
yep, that's exactly what I was about to get
That's
to.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
What aspect? Because I can't remember. Right.
Basically, if your phone is not like right now, I have my phone next to me.
Yeah.
But if I had it in the kitchen and it rang right now, I could answer. I could see who's calling on my computer. It would relay it to OS 10,
Oh, so
and
it's
then I'd say, "Yeah, answer call." I'm like, "Hey, what's up, mom?" I have a conversation with my mom on the computer. It essentially turns your computer into like a Bluetooth device.
so Google, like Google Voice was, right?
Yeah, except this won't sound like crap, most likely.
No, actually,
And
mine
it
never did though. It must be internet connection. I mean, I never had like crap
No,
calls
Google
on
Voice
Google.
always sounds terrible quality, especially when you answer on the computer.
Okay. I
I've
mean,
never tried answering it on the computer, but I do notice that on my phones, there's usually like a quarter-second delay, like a really, really short
Oh
delay.
yeah, for
Yeah.
me, Hangout will ring on my computer, and I'll go get up and get my phone because by the time I get there, the phone starts ringing.
yeah, sure. Hangout does have that delay when you call someone. It's always fastest on your PC, but also again, I fear is multiple devices ringing at the same time. You know how Hangouts, one device will ring, you answer and it's still ringing on the other
Yeah,
device.
that's so frustrating.
Yeah. I hope that
Oh,
doesn't
man.
happen.
Yeah, hopefully they'll have that figured out.
Right, yeah. All right, so that's pretty much iOS 8. Yeah, it seems like, like you said, Juan, Apple is making all those improvements from last year to showcase, okay, we don't have to change the visual aesthetics of it, but there's a lot of things internally we want to improve
Well,
for
and
users.
and like their hardware, I hope Apple starts doing more of a TikTok. So every other year we see some graphical fresh coat of paint just to keep iOS users a little more current. I think they went too long with the previous versions of iOS all having the same UI. And now we've done this massive change in iOS 7. We refine it for iOS 8 and for iOS 9. Now we can add some other sparkle or punch or some new like maybe a widget feature or something like that. And it won't scare iOS users off as viscerally is if you had made massive changes back from like the iPhone 3G to the 3GS.
hmm Okay. I mean, what
Did we talk about the sharing between apps? The new feature now, so you
sharing
can actually like share your, I guess, away page to Pinterest via the browser now, versus you only having a set amount of options before. So it's similar to how Android has sharing, because it's probably the best aspect about Android, how you can share and talk to different apps. It's almost as if the developer wants to do that, they submit that via their code, and you can have it added on as one of the sharing options.
Yeah.
So like Annalise said, Android Lite in the box.
Yeah, and
Well,
this
but some of the changes I actually really like in the Photos app, where if you want to edit a photo, it stays in the photo app, but the tool panel from another app will open up.
Open up,
That
yeah.
you can augment. So I mean, like again, it's these little subtle leapfrogs as we move back and forth between Android updates and iOS updates and Windows Phone updates. And I think actually Apple has found just a couple little crowbar insertion points to put a little pressure on Google for their next Android iteration.
Yeah, the way Apple pitches it is they call it like extensions, where it's basically you're not actually transferring from one thing to the next through a standard way. The developer has to specifically make his extension work with another app. So it's not like with Android where if you take a photo and you press share, every photo app is going to be able to open that app for
Yeah.
editing.
Mhm.
Someone like ViscoCam will have to create that extension to edit the photo,
Ah,
or a Twitter client will have to be able to import that photo there. So it's not going to be like a standard universal share protocol like you get with Android, but you can still have certain things happen directly within an app and not have to jump in and out between them. So that might be better depending on how widely developers adopt it.
okay. So it might not be as extensive as we thought then.
Ah,
Well,
so
it
we can
probably
do
will
better.
be. I mean, not having a sharing option with various apps really wouldn't be smart for a developer not to do.
Well, I
Yeah,
was
I
going to
know.
say, and out of the box, it's not going to feel like it's a profound change. It's not
Yeah.
until app developers start making use of those protocols that
Sorry,
I think
that's what
users will.
I meant to infer.
Oh,
Instant
gotcha.
hotspots, instant hotspots from your I believe they talked about that where you can actually create instant hotspots without actually setting up protocols between your Mac and your iPhone. That it should automatically detect. You know how I'm the same way. I went to the Microsoft event, and as soon as I opened up my Surface Pro 2, it automatically connected to Microsoft's network, and I don't know how much data of mine they stole from my Surface, but it was connected like automatically. So I'm thinking it's the same way where there will be some kind of protocol where as long as it's it's you're signed into the same user account of devices, you automatically just ping and connect there. So yeah, that's some interesting stuff. The other one thing I wanted to mention was the continuity, which they talked. It was more on OSX side, but it was showcasing the fact that you could move your work from your iPhone over to your MacBook. So say you were editing a document, you can continue over. If say you were sending an email through the Mail app, you can continue from, and it will actually ask you if you were close to your PC or your MacBook. It will tell you, do you want to continue from here? So you actually get that prompt. So that was a nice way of bridging the gap with iOS and OS X. But that leads me to OS X. I was very disappointed with all this stuff they showed on OS X. It looks like they've decided again. iOS is where we're going. OS X is our
Yeah.
legacy that will just stay there and we'll do some finite changes. Because what they threw in OS X this year should have been there last year. To me, as far as what I looked at, it was stuff that it's been there on Windows. They made the dig on Windows about adoption rate. The one mistake that he didn't mention was that even though the adoption rate is higher, the amount of Windows users who are adopted Windows 8 is probably still higher than what it is for
Yeah,
Mac as a whole. So it really doesn't matter.
that was a little disingenuous, especially when you know that Windows has such a huge presence in enterprise, and
Yeah.
companies do not like to upgrade if they can avoid it. I remember
Mhm.
in like 2007, 2008, my first job, we were still on XP, so because they just didn't want to
Yeah.
go through the hassle of upgrading. So
One of the recording studios I work for is all of the computers are still on Windows XP, and they're having very serious conversations about how they're going to update now that there's no longer any support for Windows
yeah,
XP. They're only just starting the conversations.
and on
Yeah.
the flip side, you could say, look, our software is so good, people use it 10 years after we told them not to.
That's don't go there.
No, no,
My
but
You
my
gotta put the
college
good
still uses
marketing, man. You gotta
XP.
put the positive spin on it.
no. But it's not. No, it's actually true though, because XP was so stable and worked very, very well that most people were like, why change? Because not most people are not us. Remember, most people are not us where we have to throw in the latest thing on our devices to test it. So the average user is using it for certain things, and if those certain things work, why change?
Right.
But
Yeah,
but
but
going back to OS X though, it's I don't know. Did you guys see any changes there that you found profound, or you thought, okay, wow, this is where OS X needs to go? I mean, they changed it. It's not flat.
I feel like it was a jump from iOS 6 to iOS 7. The same with Mavericks to Yosemite. It's just the first will be cosmetic changes, and people will like that. They'll get them through a whole year, and then after that, they'll probably add some much needed features with the next release. So they're just going on a different timeline than they are for the iPhone.
See, but that brings me back to
Right. I really think Apple's behind the eight ball here because they
yeah.
know they're not making money on their PC sales as much as they're making money on iOS products, and it's one of the worrisome aspects of how much Apple has embraced their consumer divisions as opposed to their pro divisions. in that I feel that they start to slip. I mean, like, I have friends and relatives who are diehard Apple people looking at products like the Surface Pro and wondering, why don't we have something like that in a MacBook? I want an iPad Pro. And that's where Apple is now, 3 years behind Microsoft in a unified architecture between touchscreen and traditional desktop computing products. We're all starting to get over our Windows 8 hate, and by the time Windows 9 is out, Apple will just be beginning to make that transition, and they won't handle it well either. It's a really difficult transition to make. It's not going to be through any fault of their own, but you have to beta test that out in the public a lot before you can arrive at a unified touch and keyboard desktop mouse user experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is kind of them like dipping their toe. They don't want to really jump in because a lot of what they're doing is they're still keeping OS X and iOS separate, but they're creating specific tools to integrate on. Like we saw with iCloud Drive, you can be able to get your stuff everywhere. With AirDrop, now instead of just being iOS, you can AirDrop to a Mac as well. Like the Spotlight searches that they have, it's going to link your favorites and all that type of stuff. All of these things are stuff that like Microsoft essentially does in Windows, whether RT or Pro, you'll be able to do them in either. And I think most of them work on the phone as well.
Yeah.
But Apple is the way they're setting it up is they're not creating the unified OS. They're just creating the unified feature, and that's kind of what they're going for right now.
I mean, that is true, but I kind of go back to what Juan said. Is that I mean, people want that iPad Pro. People want that. Like it goes back to something that what's his name, Pano said at the Microsoft press event. He said, "Look, our research shows that people own 2 devices, and they have to switch. It's not a matter of you want to; you just switch." Because you know what, when you want to do something else, you drop that laptop, you pick up the iPad, and then you want to do more work, you drop the iPad and you look at at your MacBook Air, or whatever the case may be. And it's like, why are you buying 2 devices? Why are you wasting your time? You know, and why are you even spending more electricity for energy content, doubling your carbon footprint, all that crap. Right. It's true though. I mean, more rare elements you're spending per device. Right, so it's that thing there that Apple is not. iOS is doing well. They double down on iOS, but I'm really worried because to me, OS X, Yosemite is not something that looks like it's going to move them anywhere forward. And like you said, when Windows 9 hits, when Windows now becomes like fully fledged, because at that time it's going to be cross-platform, fully. On all applications, plus the fact that you now will have the things is with Windows is all about pricing. Windows is not a matter of what do you call it again, high price structure like Apple. Getting Windows at that $300 to $500 price range. Now in this case it'd be more like $200 to $500 price range that works effectively. That's why people will go, yeah, I can definitely get a Windows device, which is why things like the Dell Venue 8 sold very well, and the Asus Transformer T100, because the price was great and it worked in a small form factor, and it felt like I had a tablet and a PC at the same time. So, for me with this update, it just didn't feel captivating in any form or fashion. I don't know. I mean, I guess everybody agrees the same way.
Yeah,
so, I mean,
yeah, I agree.
It's a very defeated kind of we do. We agree.
Yeah, but for me, like captivated right now, no one is captivating me on the desktop front or like the home computing. It's just I'm seeing better implementations of stuff I saw before. Like last year, I liked the idea of the Surface, but I couldn't get past the battery life. And then this year, from what I'm seeing, they pretty much gotten a lot better at it. And the same thing with Apple. I mean, yeah, I wasn't impressed at all by what they did last year, but this year they got a little bit better at it. So I think it's the pace of people adding what's new isn't going as fast as we'd like it to go. When Microsoft introduced Windows 8, it was a dramatic shift. It's like, okay, they're really running. Right now, Apple is just more walking than they are running.
They're more like a stroll.
Well, you got to understand.
It's more like a southern stroll. So let's take it like 5 steps slow.
They're sauntering.
Sauntering, there you go.
We're gonna be
Alex.
fashionably late, and you're gonna love it.
Yeah.
I do
Yeah.
declare.
How about you, Alex? Sorry, you were saying something. We cut you off.
No, I was saying, I mean, prior to 2010, in about 10 years, Apple hit the trifecta. Okay, you got the iPod, you got the iPhone, you got the iPad, and that worked for them. But that was on the hardware side. And I mean, when the iPhone was released, iOS was pretty badass. I mean, that's what it was. But you have all these different software companies that were better than Apple. Now they're getting to the hardware point as well with the Microsoft Surface Pro 3. So it's like, if they're doing what I guess Microsoft is doing, because I feel like Microsoft is the one that gets it, and like in a couple more years, they're going to be the top leader in the industry with that. Apple's staying stagnant because the trifecta has been supporting them for so long, right? So if they don't advance in the software department again and not focus on hardware as much as they have been, then I mean maybe they'll do better, but I don't see them doing much better right now.
Yeah, no, I kind of agree with you there with that whole trifecta element where, the especially the iPod is pretty much dead. It's just if you need like a MP3 player of sorts, just because you don't want to use your phone, then you get an iPod. But it's now just a dual combo, attack with the iPad and the iPhone. And the iPad also has been getting attacked by like the plethora of Android tablets and Windows tablets are coming up. And that's why I said price has become an issue because people were dying to buy iPads. But when you now have a full-fledged Windows device 10 inches at $300,
Well, also I think Android and Windows got to capitalize by the one minor misstep of when Apple started releasing the iPad. I think I mean we really like this is sort of a hindsight's 2020 kind of commentary, but we look at what happened when Apple moved from the iPad 2 to the iPad 3. People aren't swapping their tablets as often as we wanted them to, or as often as they want to switch over their phones. There are a lot of people who will re-up their phone every year, but tablets, you hang on to them just a little bit longer.
yeah.
The iPad 3 came out, so you didn't have all of the iPad 2 users instantly rush to update because they had the iPad 2. And then they had to do that quick turnaround only a couple months after that, and they released the iPad 4. And so now you had sort of a whole lost generation of iPad users that then were exposed to a market of other devices that were just starting to get much better with Samsung and the Nexus 7 and Kindles and stuff like that, really starting to take a bite out of the tablet market. And so I think that one little misstep rippled a lot more than I think Apple was prepared for.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think that market and also the fact that, I mean, I think to me this is why I am afraid of the PC market and how because a lot of people and kind of what Andrew said was like, well, Apple's like they dipping their toes into this in terms of OS X with Yosemite, but the problem I see there is that they're not. It's almost like they haven't thought 5 years ahead because if you're taking that really slow and then you reach a saturation point. You're reaching a saturation point on your iPhones as well as your iPads. Because with iPhones, it's 50-50 split with Android. Let's call it that. Fine, Windows Phone has a small percentage, but it's 50-50. Most Android people won't shift, and most iPhone people won't shift. Done, right? You're fighting for scraps at this point. Then when you now have a situation where your tablets are now becoming multiple convergence devices that can do work, play, and the iPad doesn't do that, there's no iPad Pro, then people might start looking at either Android or Windows tablets or devices and say, well, I can do everything with this, so why not? Especially if you're buying it for multiple members in a family, right? Why buy your kid a laptop for school and a tablet when you could just buy them a Surface Pro or Lenovo something, right, and be done with, rather than you buying all those multiple things. And
there's also a gaming aspect to it too. I mean, the iPad has been transitioned to like I'm gonna give it to my kids and they won't bother me anymore. So it's kind of like there's been a transition with the market in that way. If Windows 8 to Windows 9 can get better with gaming, then it's only eventuality until that happens.
Yeah. Any other thoughts?
Nah. Andrew, you're muted, dude. Sorry, I didn't even realize you were talking down there. I just caught your little thumbnail down at the bottom.
Andrew, can you hear us, Andrew? No.
No, it looks like you might have muted yourself. Is that what it looks like?
I thought.
Oh, there you are.
How about now?
Yeah,
you're good.
Okay. Yeah. Basically, I was saying is what Lex was saying. When I see people on the plane, they hand their iPads to their kids, and then they pull out their computer and do work. So I think I think the iPad is definitely right now dominating when it comes to gaming or the handoff device, and you feel more comfortable reading on an iPad than you do on your computer right now. So if the Windows hybrid devices rise like you claim they will, which I don't think they will for a while, you'll see things start to change.
Well, I would disagree with you there for one simple reason. Actually, two simple reasons: Intel and price. That's it. That's what's always helped Windows.
Yeah, but
Intel,
Apple has always been more expensive, and
no,
they
no,
still
it
manage
has
to
been
sell well.
because they've been the only one in the market. Right, that's the case here. When Intel drops the Broadwell processor, which will actually bring prices down to 100, as according to the claim, but you're looking at $200-$300 well powerful price PC/tablet hybrids coming in the holiday season. You're going to see a huge pickup. That's what helped this past holiday season with Dell and Asus. The reason those two sold well is because they were under 400. Like literally, people bought it because they were like, "Wow, this is a PC at under 400 and it works well." And I'm just saying that those are the things will help. I'm not saying it's going to overtake because iPad has a huge, you have a huge margin to catch up to. But when you now want to buy many gifts for people in the family, I think that's where it is. Because if it's a family situation, you look at 5 people in the family, dad, mom, one kid's in college, one kid's in high school, the other one's younger. Yeah, the youngest one might get the iPad because they're playing, but the one in high school needs to write papers and do work. The one in college needs to run more programs. That's where you now start getting that skew where you're like, you know what? Forget the iPad. This Windows stuff can do everything. You're getting that. And that's where you see that family skew come together. And I think that's where I don't think Apple is really looking at that to say we need to provide a device that families or at least people can go, oh yeah, this does a lot of the things I want it to do, rather than it being, hey, or even, for instance, like even a standard Apple accessory. There's no standard Apple keyboard for the iPad. There's none.
I don't know, man. I live close to Seton Hall, and those kids, to like a letter, they're all using MacBooks. I only see like PCs when I go into like offices or like I'm around other like tech journalists.
I would disagree. I mean maybe it's your circles, but again, it's like anecdotal.
Oh no, and out here in Hollywood, you see Macs. You see Macs and iPads.
I mean, for me,
when I roll up with my Lenovo on set, it's an anomaly.
It is. But I mean, it's probably circles and locations, because for me, around here in Massachusetts, I see PCs. Unless I go to, if I go on set for, say, an audition or something, and I see Macs out there, yeah. But then again, as much as we claim to see Macs everywhere, the penetration for Macs is not even that high. So
well, but that's also why I think like there's this opportunity for Microsoft to, again, it's like this crowbar wedge. When I'm looking at replacing my laptop and I'm thinking about buying a laptop and a tablet or something like that, that's where some of these newer products are actually going to find some audience. But that takes time, because a laptop is still generally around a 2 to 4 year purchase for most people.
Yeah, I mean, Windows has always been about quantity. Like, again, like they're an open system, so to speak, so they're going to have those numbers always. The thing about Mac and the MacBook is that like it's really expensive, but it's a growing number. It's at 80 million, I believe, now. So I don't see that declining because of Windows 8. It's still going to grow.
No, I mean, it's a growing number. What were the number? Last year they had the biggest dip in sales compared to everybody else in the PC market. They just never talked about it. They had the biggest dip in sales. I'm just saying they did.
Well, no, the whole PC market was down around 15%. Apple was down almost 20%. So I mean, we are looking at a post-PC market. It's not a Mac or a PC argument. It's people don't want the same form factors that we've sold them before.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, anything else we missed out on this very long press conference? Because there's a lot of stuff they went through, like left and right.
Or you guys were going to talk about developer stuff. I don't know if I'm qualified to speak.
No.
Swift and all that fun stuff.
I mean, the developer stuff sounded cool with Swift, where people can easily program, but we talked about that where you just basically you're pigeonholing all developers to one thing. Siri can of course recognize songs with Shazam powered, so that's cool.
I was watching the press conference like live with commentary. So when they were about to announce like the new platform, all you heard is, "Are they going to bring JavaScript? Are they going to bring JavaScript?" And then they came with the Swift, and I was like, "Oh, okay." Everyone's not happy anymore. So.
So yeah, it's stuff like that. OSX beta program starts this summer. The one thing they mentioned for developers is that you can now create videos to preview your applications in the App Store, which developers were like, yeah.
Wait, you couldn't do that before? Oh, that's right. You couldn't do that before.
No, it's just all images, man. I think
Yeah.
Android had that back in like 2009.
Well,
ridiculous.
Android got that, I think, around the honeycomb time when they.
Yeah. What was
Yeah,
it?
I remember
The guy from Twitch.tv was like, "Hey, maybe they allow you to try applications like Windows Phone," and you're like, and then he started stating, he's like, "Ah, no, you can't try. Never mind." Let's.
They do have beta apps now, though, so that's cool. I mean, I guess that's some welcome addition.
Yeah, I mean, there were some welcome things, but I think that covers pretty much it altogether. I know some stats in numbers. Apple says 40 million devices on Maverick, so that's half of the 80 million, and 800 million iOS devices and billions of applications. So, just for the numbers. I'm surprised they didn't mention too much numbers this year, though. Usually they just throw out numbers like it's Christmas, but they really cut down their numbers.
Yeah, because the numbers aren't as flattering as they used to be. When they said we've got 800 million people and 130 million people in the last year alone, and all these people are switching from Android because it's terrible. And it's like, wait a minute, Android reached 1 billion devices 9 months ago, and they're continuously seeing high growth. So, yeah, a lot of people are switching from Android, but Android.
Well, numbers like that aren't important,
Yeah.
Andrew. That doesn't talk about how the profitability of an ecosystem is. So that's totally you're comparing apples and turnips.
We have a comment here in the Q&A from Rod Johnson.
That's still the best name ever.
I know.
You need to market that name, man. You should be a millionaire off of that name.
He says, since Apple only previewed its software, why not preview a device like iWatch to give fans something to really look forward to? Well,
if it's not ready, they won't.
Yeah, and also this is
I prefer that too.
a
So.
developer conference, and they haven't announced anything. Maybe I think the iPad was the only thing they announced.
They announced an iPad in I think it was before WWDC. They did it like in a March one time.
Okay.
It was like a very narrow window. They typically do not make major hardware announcements at WWDC.
One of the things I wish they announced though was either new monitors, which they could have announced with this. It would have been easy to throw it, or Apple TV, just because.
No, it's the Apple program. You guys know it. It's just the way it goes.
No, I know Apple
Yeah.
TV, yeah, but if you could announce a monitor easy, because developers only use their monitors anyway, so it's not like it's going to the mass market altogether. But yeah, they don't really announce anything altogether.
September.
Did you guys catch Ed Bott's reply to the 80 million Macs out in the
No, I
ecosystem?
didn't. What did he say?
He's a Microsoft MVP, and he tweeted out during the press conference that's how many Windows phones are out in the ecosystem.
Wow.
Really? That
Wow.
many?
That's what he's saying. That's what he's claiming.
Well, I can
Wow.
under-
If there are
it's
only
probably
80
true.
million Macs,
Wow. I
Windows are that
like
many
that
Windows
response.
phones.
I love that response. That's just like, you want to throw fire? Yeah, fine. Just our phones, man. Just our phones.
That probably makes you feel so happy.
Hey,
I want competition. That's what I
Yeah,
want.
it's good. No, it's good because if you notice through the press conference, like he tried to take digs at company. He took the dig on Microsoft,
And then
that
talk about
aspect.
Microsoft features that were.
Yeah, and he
You
talked
know,
about
like
Microsoft
Bing
features.
Translate.
Yeah, I mean, Spotlight is powered by Bing. We all know that it's not powered by Google because there's too much feud on that aspect there. But then he goes again and he dings Android on iOS and just like copied half the features in Android in there altogether. So I mean, hey, it's competition. They all have to duke it out. So we'll see. If it pans out well with both companies altogether. But it's just interesting. I think we'll see. Hopefully, once we all get an iPhone to update to iOS 8, we can give you guys videos. But any more thoughts you guys want to throw out before we round this up?
Yeah, Sherlock season 3 is on Netflix.
Yeah, it is on Netflix.
Yeah,
but
it is.
I've already watched it. I can spoil it for you guys.
No. I'm about to watch it when we get off.
I'm gonna go watch it again just to celebrate with Andrew.
Yeah.
How about that Game of Thrones episode last night, though?
Don't-
Oh,
No, a lot of people haven't seen it. Don't say anything.
oh, man, that was wild. Wild.
No, see, Andrew, I'm going to say this.
I already know.
That's it.
You already know what I'm going to say.
That's it. That's all I'm going to tell you. Somebody said this though. I put it here. He said the real news. This is from Lura. The real news today is that Lupita and Gwendolyn Christie have joined Casa Star Wars.
Oh yeah, that's the tall girl from.
Yeah,
Game
the
of
tall
Thrones.
girl from Game of Thrones, the tall knight. She's
That's
part of-
awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Star Wars, and Lupita's in Star Wars also, which is funny
Question.
because my girlfriend sent me a text. She's like, "Lupita's in Star Wars. Can we watch?" I'm like, "So now you want to watch Star Wars?"
Well, you're gonna have to start her off. You have to make her watch in machete order. So that's 4, 5, 2,
Yeah.
3, 6.
Yeah.
4, 5, 2, 3, 6. It's the best way to watch Star Wars because it doesn't ruin any of the spoilers of moments
Yeah.
of the original trilogy.
True. Yeah.
Because if you watch it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, then you already know who Anakin is, and so you're sort of like, well, Luke
it
Skywalker
defeats
is
all
kind of an
purpose.
idiot.
It. Yeah, true. But I would definitely do that. And it's funny because she sent me the text. I was like, really? Now you? Okay, that's cool.
For Windows Phone, the update for the preview, what was changed? I'm installing it now.
It's not a huge update. As far as I can tell, it's global settings for quiet hours, and then just their normal slate of performance
Yeah,
improvements and bug
and
fixes.
bug fixes. Like people found out things that were wrong with it when we first got the preview, so they're fixing those now.
Yeah, this is the
I'm
second.
hoping for Katana
And it's
on my
only
device.
it's only a 20 megabyte download, so it's
Download,
not a substantial.
Yeah, the first
I
one
still
was
have no
a-
Katana, so I'm just hoping for the best.
What is it? Oh, you mean on
Yeah.
the TV? On the
It-
TV?
I still have no Cortana.
This won't change anything if you're.
Okay, that's
Cortana.
unfortunate.
Yeah, he has the Ativ SC, so no Cortana for him.
Man, the Samsung phones are not handling this well. I mean, the Nokia phones, you can tell where, like, right after it first dropped, it was definitely a beta and battery life suffered. But
Yeah.
the Samsung phones have having all kinds of different problems. Like on mine, I have the Ativ S Neo, and there was nothing assigned to the camera button. You hit the camera hardware button and nothing would happen, and you're like, what the hell?
Does your screen not work a lot? Like where like you lock it and like the screen doesn't work and you have to take out the battery to like to restart the phone?
I haven't had a lockup that bad, but I've had a lot
Yeah.
of delay. Like on the
I stopped-
1520 with glance, it would lock, but it would eventually turn back on. But it would sometimes take almost a minute of you like I'll push the power button or I'll push the home button or I'll push the power button or something like that. But that got fixed up with the last.
Yeah, the
little
last
mini
big
bug
update
fix they
fixed
did.
some of that. But moral of the story: if you want to buy a Windows phone, buy Nokia.
Buy a Nokia, yeah.
That's pretty much it.
Get this one, the 920. What was this? The Icon.
Icon. No, I'm going to say it's
Well,
like
it's technically the 929.
Yeah, I was about to call it the code name, and then and if you're on AT&T, get the 1020.
Or the 1520.
Oh, the 1520.
1520 is a little too big for me.
Oh, come on! This is I've got a
1520 is the better phone. It's just a little too big.
That's like the Samsung Mega. I'm sorry, that's
No.
too
This
much.
is way better than the Samsung Mega.
Oh,
This
Mega,
not
oh,
only has
really?
an
Oh.
AP screen.
I mean, you trying to disgrace this device here?
No,
Call it
I'm
the
not trying to
Mega?
disgrace
I mean,
it.
the Mega
Did
is.
you see the marketing poster for it? Like it's like a family of two, and like the lady's using it to watch video, and the guy's like, "That's on the phone."
The new Mega is going to be 7 inches.
That's insane.
Mr. Martinez says, "What do you guys think about Apple's push into the gaming market?" That's one of the things.
They know that's the majority of their sales for the iPad, so I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah, I don't think it's a push. I think they just recognize a revenue source, so they just keep supporting it.
Well, and I mean, let's be honest. I want to say since the iPhone 4, Apple's actually been pretty aggressively courting game developers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, this isn't anything new. It's what I think is they're making so much noise about this for WWDC is that it's a developers conference. And so if there are game developers out there that are interested in coding for the platform, they want those people to know what benefits they'll have in making games for
Also,
iOS.
I think today ended the Infinity Blade streak. Because
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
It was just a regular tech demo.
I was reading. I was like, wait a minute, has Infinity Blade come on yet?
Yeah. They came on and they showed a demo and they kept on saying, this was built on Unreal Engine 4, console-like graphics, which I hate when they say that because it's not console-like graphics. Oh, yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is. PS2.
It absolutely is. It's like PS2. That's a console.
My
it's got
bad, sorry.
like that.
Yeah, I meant to say it's not current generation graphics.
Okay.
They didn't say current generation console graphics. They said console-like graphics.
I know.
So how you market it, remember?
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying that just tells people it looks like my Xbox One. That's what it just tells people, right?
No. They chose their words tactically well.
I know. I'm just saying
console-like, not current generation console graphics. But as we all know, if you have a game on the iPad's pushing more pixels than an Xbox One can. So that's probably better, right?
No, it's not.
The Xbox can only game in 720p, and there are way more pixels on an iPad than 720p.
No, it doesn't push more pixels.
No, it actually does. Whether or not you have high res.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't because whatever your GPU is pushing is actually more pixels per square inch.
No, I don't think it works that way. I'm pretty sure that's not how it works.
It's just the resolution that it's outputting.
I'm pretty sure it's Retina.
He's gonna die believing that his Xbox One doesn't push more pixels.
No. Not Xbox One. Any gaming console. It doesn't even push more than the Xbox 360.
Look, the human eye can't even detect more than 200 pixels per inch. It doesn't even matter.
My God, it doesn't even push more than
for anyone who's still watching at this point, you can always light up E by saying something can push more pixels than the Xbox. I want you to look at what just happened here.
He goes crazy.
If you want him to go to Redline. If you want him to go to Bill O'Reilly, that's how you get him to launch off.
He's like, no, that's not how it works.
You, it will always work.
It's not going to work the next time, I swear.
That's 2, E. I've gotten you this twice.
I know. God. I fell for it again. Did you see the iPhone? I'm on Apple's website. It does T9 now. The keyboard. Basically.
Really?
Yeah, it's basically T9. It does. It's our smartest. I'm just reading it again, but I remember in the press conference, watching on Twitch TV, it does predictive text. But basically, it does it like T9. Really, that's just all. The keyboard never supported T9 before, so.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was that's one of the things that was in there. And then as for Anil says, does opening up Touch ID to third-party developers mean that jailbroken apps like Virtual Home might come to non-jailbroken users?
I don't know. That's really going to depend on the certifications involved and what developers are willing to jump through to properly utilize that kind of hardware.
Yeah, and I think the whole concept of jailbreaking and security, a lot of times it gets a little muddy, so even the jailbreakers themselves don't want to get involved with it just because they don't want the headache of people complaining to them about incompatibility or data breaches or anything, so it's going to be tough to say.
Yeah, I agree.
Maybe there's going to be some kid in like Denmark who gets bored one summer and he does it. Other than that,
while learning Swift.
Right. Those Danes, they're very good at learning new languages at all, so I'm pretty sure he'll get it.
I was going to ask this one more thing. I know we didn't even talk about it, but they talked a little bit about iOS and business. And how now with iOS you can just, as long as you open up a device, it automatically connects. They said it automatically connects to your business network without doing any setup. That's how Mr. Craig said it, which I highly doubt. Because for any business user, you don't want to have that anyway. You want to have at least some steps in between. But it sounds like they've streamlined the steps because before it was a long procedure to actually set up an iOS device on a business network. So
and it depends on what they're talking about by automatically setting up. Like if you have some kind of
he didn't specify.
Account. Yeah, and that's what I mean is like because we used to image Macs for this was right before they switched over to Intel, the old Power Macs. We used to image those for Department of Energy. And the process was pretty involved, and you'd have to crack each box open and install a whole bunch of software. So if they're talking about an imaging service for businesses where, depending on what kind of licensing that you're using for your software, that could be really compelling. Because that could be really cool. You just have like a room full of iPhones, and every single time you turn them on, depending on what credentials you sign in with, it just starts auto-populating the phone with a certain setup of apps and services and software. That could be really cool.
That would be. But I mean, we don't know details because he didn't really specify. But I'm sure throughout the week, we'll see some more things pop out on that. So anyway, anything else before we round up? Anything else we missed or want to throw in?
I think that's it.
I think
All
we're
right.
good.
All right, cool. We are good. Well, thank you very much. I did mention there was a giveaway, guys. The prize is iPhone cases. I have two iPhone. Did I say iPhone? I did say iPhone, right?
Why did you say iPhone?
I don't know because I've been talking about Apple stuff. Like, I was gonna say
You wanna-
Galaxy has 5 cases. So if you know how many videos I put a countdown in at the beginning of the video, let me know, and 2 people will win in a Galaxy S5 case. So that's it. Thank you very much, guys. I do appreciate you joining in this very spirited Apple conversation. I thought it was going to be more heated, especially from Andrew, because Andrew's called me out on a couple of things earlier.
Yeah, because I was here to prevent you from besmirching the great people of Cupertino, who, out of the kindness of their own hearts, not for profits, just decided to make a great product.
Yeah.
But you guys were very well behaved today, so I
True
didn't have
story.
I wasn't trying to besmirch them. I just said that they were copying a lot of shit.
Oh
That's
no,
all.
guys,
yeah,
we're
I
getting
would
out of
never-
this video. We don't need to get back into the
I would
video.
never defend that.
It's okay though. Juan got him with the
We're rocking it.
Xbox. It's
Yeah,
all good.
my
It's good,
argument
Andrew.
I don't care that they copy as long as they do it.
Oh yes, that's right.
We
Why
agree
did
on
they-
that point.
Xbox conversation is priceless. It's priceless.
All right, I'm gonna go play my PS3. See you guys
Well,
later.
thank you very much, Andrew.
Disrespectful.
Well, anyway, definitely check out Mr. Andrew Cam at Mobile Burn. That is his personal Twitter handle, Andrew Cam. Follow him at Mobile Burn on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel. Check him out. He's got some cool mobile-centric videos. You will see stuff from iOS devices too there. So check him out. And next up, Mr. Juan Bagnell from Some Gadget Guy has some cool videos. I like that recent video you just did, man, with the driving in LA using the S1 from Frank Fraser
How
camera.
you blend in with the natives, man? You got to stand out.
Yeah, it's very informative and non-factual, so don't pay attention.
Yeah,
to
please don't drive like that.
But definitely check out his channel, Some Gadget Guy. There was somebody in the Q&A who asked if you have the site. His website is right there, somegadgetguy.com. Subscribe to his channel, and check out his videos. He's got some nice long-form videos, long-term reviews, and things like that all together. And pay attention to his videos. Pay good attention to the videos. Pay very good attention.
Pay very close attention because there will be a quiz at the end of each one of them. No, I'm kidding. There's no quiz.
No quiz. And finally, Lexa Monnier, who's contributing editor here at Board at Work. You can find him on Twitter. What is your Twitter handle? I should know it off head, but I can't remember.
No, I should have it up, but I'm on a tablet right now. So it's Lex, LEXMONIYI.
All right, you follow him on Twitter. You can check out his videos at Board at Work on YouTube. And I am Thunder E. That is my Twitter handle, Board at Work. Also, our YouTube handle is Board at Work. Check out our videos, subscribe. And again, for those who are going to leave answer for that giveaway of countdowns, you're going to win the Galaxy S5 case. So this is Thunder E saying thank you and always enjoy your entertainment.
Bam.